The Radio Guys podcast powered by AA Best Bail Bonds at 210-225-2121. Oficinas throughout San Antonio open 24/7. Stress-free bail bonds at 210-225-2121.
They call me the radio guy. I play Tejano music, it's my high.
The Radio Guys podcast, bringing the Texas lifestyle to life. Nuestra música, nuestra cultura, nuestra tradición. Topics that affect and reflect who we are, whether you live in the Lone Star State, the 49 other states, or anywhere in the world. So welcome, everyone, to the only Tejano State of Mind podcast. And now, here are the Radio Guys, Jonny Ramirez and Mico Rodriguez.
Yay, Haas!
Yeah,
Season number 2.
Man. Welcome, everybody. Buenas noches, bienvenidos. Gracias por estar with the Radio Guys podcast, Season 2, Episode 1, as Mico alluded to. And first and foremost, just want to say thank you to everybody that was here for the first season. It was a great season. We had a good time. We know there's a boatload of podcasts out there, and we're just kind of getting our feet wet, but we had a good season. It was fun.
For not knowing what we're doing, heck yeah.
We do?
No, for not knowing what we're doing.
Oh, yeah. I was like, what do you mean we know what we're doing? I have no freaking clue. But anyway, it was a good season. I want to thank everyone that was on the show on this new journey for us. We truly do appreciate it. It was a fun time. Also, just want to say thanks to everybody. Obviously, like and share. Like our Facebook page and share our Facebook page, Radio Guys PC. If you want to go on the YouTube channel, that's the Radio Guys Podcast. And just going to have a whole lot of fun Season 2, and we're not making any money at this. Right now, it's pretty much a hobby.
Arte el amor.
Okay.
Amor al arte.
Amor al arte,
There
if you say
go.
so. If you say so.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, we appreciate everybody, and les invitamos that if you have an event coming up in 2025, if you want to send us the information, by all means, send us an email. It's info@theradioguyspc.com. Info@theradioguyspc.com. We would love to talk about your event, whatever you got coming on.
And I check it daily. I mean, I'm not even getting any spam yet. So, send it. We're ready.
We're not getting spam. That's a good thing, okay? All right. Man, I tell you what. I'm going to, delay what we do at the beginning of the podcast just because I just want to get into it right now. So without further ado, why don't you introduce our guest this evening?
Well, our guest, man, I tell you what, very, very thrilled and excited to bring our guest tonight. Both guys I've known forever. But as with our guests, as well as our other guests, I want them to know that we do not play any favorites. We do not play any favoritism whatsoever. Hold on, I got to grab something real quick.
You're kidding me, right?
Okay, no, I left it. Oh, it's right here. It's right here. And I've got my 8-track tape that I used to play from way back when. Can you see that? It's a Roberto Pulido in Envidias, 8-track. Still has the tape in there. And that is our guest tonight, a legendary and an icon, father-son. It is Roberto and Bobby Pulido. Welcome to the Radio Guys podcast.
Yeah.
Yes,
indeed.
Thank you very much for inviting us.
Bienvenidos.
It's finally, Jonny will tell you, it was my idea that he started a podcast.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's been bugging me for a minute.
You didn't mention
says
that.
he'd been
You see
bugging
that?
me for a minute.
I did.
Then I went to you, and it took you like 6 months to make up your mind.
But you
And,
know why I told him that, though? Because every time I'd go do a radio interview,
Right.
You're always having to pay the bills, right? So,
Right.
so all the questions are like, okay, tell us about okay, okay. Oh, we're going to go pay some bills, so here's the commercials. And I go, you start a podcast so we can actually finish a talk that's interesting and not have to go, to commercials and other stuff like that on the radio. Yeah. And because it was always I would barely feel like we're getting going and
boom,
it's over.
It was over.
Wah, wah, wah.
And more of the best conversation was always off air.
Mm-hmm.
All the time.
Always, all the time.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure, for all the time, yeah.
To me, it's a treat to have you both here. Primero que todo, Roberto, I have been a fan of Roberto Pulido, Los Clásicos, way before Los Clásicos.
Way back in 1903,
Ándale, you got that right. 1972, I was at Mac High, and I was soon to be a dropout. I know, I was a bulldog. I was soon to be a dropout, but the buddies and I would get together, and we had those damn things. And we'd spend all evening just, we burned up like 3 of those 8 tracks, porque dale vuelta, dale vuelta, dale vuelta. And we were not of age, sir, but we found somebody who legally bought the beer for us, okay?
Tú tienes la culpa que yo de borracho vivo.
Tú tienes la culpa, ¿verdad? You ought to turn that into a song. But, so, I mean, for me, it is a treat to have you here, sir. It was always a treat to talk to you on the radio. The legend, Mr. Roberto Pulido, and, of course, as second generation, tonight's going to be a Pulido party.
Puro Pulido party. It's always going to be a good time.
Pulido party.
No doubt about it.
You guys just forgot to bring the beer.
My poor dad is drinking coffee there.
Yeah, sure he is.
In a coffee mug, He's a big coffee guy.
Yeah, he's a big coffee guy.
I just started drinking coffee a year ago. Your mom was the one that got me.
Right.
We do have to
It
thank
used to be called apple juice.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Well, it was our
Whose side are you on, man?
our Grammy award-winning executive producer. He's the one that Mr.
Yeah.
Mr. Escobedo. Velasquez.
Gilbert Velasquez.
Velasquez. I knew that.
Escobedo was the breed. He was with the breed. So
I know what it's like when you get into age, man.
You know what? When we should actually say, kudos to our executive producer, Gilbert Velasquez, Velasquez Studio, allowing us to come in here and tear up his place. His brother, Albert Velasquez, our technical director, and then, of course, our social butterfly, Lexi Rodriguez. Thanks to all of them. Let's get back to it. You, sir, are probably still on a high, and I'm talking to Bobby Pulido.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
That's true.
when we talked last week, we briefly talked on the phone, and you were kind of trepidatious about it. You had some questions. You weren't sure.
Yeah.
The reaction you were going to get, but.
Right.
Damn, I saw the videos. It's like, damn. Matter of fact, I think we've got a real short video here if you want to spin it, Mico, so everybody can see what I'm talking about. And by the way, we'll discuss the fact why it wasn't on TV, and obviously it's a sponsorship thing. But here's just real quick what he did with El Mariachi of the Texans. Okay, maybe not. That's great. Not quite the reception you thought you were going to get, right?
No, bro.
Yeah.
I was totally nervous about that. I wasn't nervous about me singing and singing in front of that many people and all that. That was not the nervous part.
Yeah.
The nervous part, because I could not control how they were going to respond.
Right. You said, man, va a haber puro gringo.
There was.
Yeah. Well,
Dude,
yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of raza, but I'd look in the crowd and see a lot of black people, a lot of white people, and I'm like, gosh, they're not going to know what I'm saying. I mean, I'm singing all in Spanish, right? And so a while back, there's a grupo that starts with an F that sang at an NFL game in Mexico City, and they booed them mercilessly.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh, man, I hope this doesn't happen.
Yeah.
It's time they get educated. Okay?
And the Pulidos are doing the educating, man. But congratulations, first and foremost. I mean, it's sad that both of you gentlemen are retiring from the road 2025. A lot of people seem to be retiring in 2025, but both of you, obviously, Roberto, you've given us, almost 60 years of música, ¿verdad?
Así, pero I started when I was 15 years old con los hermanos Leighton. And you know what? I reflect back in my life. Because, it's been a blessing.
Yeah.
Más que nada, money comes and goes. Las amistades que we've made a través de los años. Yeah. It's much more important to have una amistad porque el dinero va y viene.
Right.
Haces una amistad y la tienes para siempre. Lo que pasa que, what, I was a migrant. I started working in the fields as a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
I was an educator. I've been a musician for the longest time, but I've been blessed.
Yeah.
I've been blessed. When I graduated from high school, they gave me a 4-year scholarship. Back then it was Pan American College and university. Years later, I started my own Roberto Pulido Music Scholarship Endowment.
Right.
There's money available in Edinburgh and Brownsville for any student that needs assistance to go study music under my name. Hay dinero disponible.
Right. And I think that's really cool because you went from a migrant farm worker to an educator to having a long-lasting career in nuestra música, promoting nuestra cultura. I went from being a migrant farm worker to a radio guy. I went backwards. I was like, wait a
Not
minute.
really, because you've been providing a lot of música para la gente.
La música que you guys created. I'm like, we're like the mayonnaise in a nice ham and cheese sandwich,
mustard
right?
por ahí.
Yeah, with a mustard. We're
It
just
sucks. A sandwich sucks without mayonnaise.
well.
Un guacamole, right?
Yeah. All right. And obviously, Bobby, you're retiring for a different reason. I know that music is near and dear to your heart. I've seen pictures of you playing saxophone con los clásicos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I remember the first time, and no disrespect, but we were having a big event at the Hemisphere Plaza.
Park, yeah.
And you were with a different radio station back then, right? So we were keeping an eye on this guy's radio station because they were going to come and try and gang up on our event, but we kept them out. And nonetheless, your dad just got on stage and he's doing his thing, and all of a sudden he calls you up, and I remember you just kind of bent over there at the stairs on the side and just puked your guts out, and I was like, well, okay.
Yeah.
But it seems that you've gotten over that, or maybe you haven't. You've conquered your fear of people.
I have.
Music has been one of your loves, but not your first love, because your first love is
maybe music was my first love, and I say that because when I was little, I'll never forget. My parents had bought me a little piano, those little toy pianos, and we had heard a song. There used to be a song that Willie Nelson would sing called "Blue Skies."
Oh yeah,
blue skies shining on me.
Nothing but blue skies, blue I see.
Well, I remember I was probably 5 years old, and I would get the melody of that song, dun, dun, and just logically find it on a piano. And my parents would be peeking from outside the door, like, look, he's a musician. Because my mom's father, my tios on my mom's side and my dad's side, they're all musicians, right? So we have that. I believe a lot in the hereditary thing, right? So I did inherit the musical ability. But I was also very studious when I was growing up. I was always very smart in school. I always cared about getting good grades, and I always made really good grades. And so when I was in high school, I was in the first mariachi. I hadn't sang El Rey. I had not sang El Rey, which I sang there in Houston, since I was in mariachi.
Wow.
And I sang that in high school. But I also got selected to go to Texas Boys State, which was a governmental thing in Austin,
right,
where you go study government for a whole week.
Right.
And I was always very intrigued by that. It was always my passion. Politics was always my passion.
And
so,
there's been other members of your family that were local politicians, right?
That's correct.
Right.
My uncle Eloy was county judge. My other uncle Rene is the longest serving district attorney in the state of Texas.
Oh, damn.
30 years.
Okay.
In the same position. So yeah, I mean, for sure. And I think my great grandfather Santos Pulido was the mayor of La Palmita, Nuevo León. Yeah, man. No, I mean, es un pueblo de primera. Porque cuando le metes segunda ya te pasaste.
You know what? As a matter of fact, I got to say this, okay? I remember Bobby estaba en St. Mary's, and we did a show called Johnny Canales, may he rest in peace. Y llegué, era las 4 de la mañana, he was awake. And I go, oye, ¿qué te pasó, Bobby? Dad, I need to talk to you. ¿Qué onda? He looked at, I want to try my luck out in music. What? in music, he was very bashful.
Yeah, I was
Right.
really shy.
Bien shy. It was okay. I mean, no llores, lo único, just promise me que you're going to give me a degree, okay?
I failed him. I
And
didn't do it, yeah.
yeah, but you know what? Because I go back to my roots, man. You know what? When I was younger, a mí me costaron tablazos because I did not know how to speak English because I got run over by a pickaxe truck and all the root ends to body go to your feet. I have nerve damage. Cuando estaba chiquillo, pero come here, boy, bolas y bolas. After the fist swap, you always see that, but they did not know that I could not hear.
Right.
Because I have 50% hearing loss in both ears. And as a fourth grader, I studied lip reading. And then I told everybody, since I got educated, now I speak 5 languages, man. English, Spanish, por teléfono, radio, and TV. It works every time.
Yeah. And talk about falling hard. I do remember when you were talking about, you're going to get into this, but you were like talking about a girl. I that's beautiful. It's great. She's awesome, and I can do this, and I know what to do, and I'm ready for this. And I mean the passion and the excitement. But I did notice you were thinking it through, like with a plan.
Of course. That's kind of the way I've always been.
Yeah.
Right? Pretty methodical.
Right.
And yeah, so I learned a lot from my dad on what to do and what not to do. Because I studied everybody. I got to see, going on the road with him, I got to see Selena, I got to see Emilio, I got to see Grupo Más, La Mafia, right? All of these artists, David Ligarza, when I was young. And I got to kind of get an idea of how I wanted to do my career, right? And we all kind of model ourselves after a band, I think, at some point, right?
Yeah.
And my band was Mas. That was my favorite band. And when I first started, right, because I thought that Joe and Jimmy were the best harmony working together with a great voice and the musical genius that Jimmy was. So I did the best thing, closest thing that I could do, and I went and hired Brando Mireles to do the arrangements, who was part of Mas, and Frankie Caballero to bring the accordion.
Who was part of Mas.
Now, back in the day, Mas was was keyboard driven, right? And they'd put sprinkle accordion, and I wanted to do the opposite. I wanted to go more accordion with keyboards sprinkled in there, right? And so just to change it up a little bit, but that's who I kind of looked up to because they were from the border. Their music was something that could be accepted by Mexicanos alike and Tejanos. And I really felt like that's what the future of our industry was going to be, into being a bigger tent and bringing people in. And my dad would get like, métele saxofones. No, Dad, this is my style. And I would.
You're confessing and I'm listening. And
I'm not lying, right? And I told him, I said, Dad, I want to do my style. When you started, you did not want to sound like anybody else, and you wanted your own sound. I said, I don't sing like you. Your voice is a much different tone than mine. I said, so I need to find music that fits what I can do vocally. And I never professed to be the best singer out there. I don't think so. There's a lot of great singers, better singers than me. But I think you got to always find what you do well and stay in your lane, right? And don't try to do something that is not you. And I did it, and it was really hard because I had to try to get out of his shadow. Because I had people that would tell me, "You're never going to be nothing like your dad," right?
But.
Yeah, that's true.
Let me tell you what. I was a saxophone player.
So was
That's
I.
what I studied.
Yes.
I got dirty to singing. That's why. Para mí me daba vergüenza because I used to sing like a girl. No, I shot it. But cuando andaba con los casinos, that's when I decided you better do it now.
Right.
And fue cuando salió Nunca Jamás.
Nunca Jamás, yes.
And
favorite song.
from then on, Chihuahuas.
It's a great little record,
sing,
man. Yeah.
Como quiera. But you know what? The bottom line is this, Vito, okay? One thing that I have to really give him a lot of credit, he focuses to do something and he will do it, okay? That's the bottom line. Tienes que enfocarte en lo que quieres hacer pero más que nada, Dios.
All time.
Do
Yeah,
your part.
absolutely.
Okay?
Yeah. Well, and Bobby and I have had this discussion. He's methodical. He's got a plan, and And I'm like, yeah, okay, you're like another radio guy I work with, you know. They have plans. And
I know what you're talking about.
yeah, J.D. Bolio.
That's
yeah.
right, that's right, yeah.
He's always got, 3-year plan. And I'm like,
Yeah.
And if it works,
But it's not just planning. It's
You have to
planning
stick to
and
it.
busting your ass.
yeah,
Right?
and sticking to your
Executing.
plan.
Yeah, and so it's a lot of hard work. I mean, I remember telling my dad, like, I want to sing, and Manolo was aggressive. There was 2 labels after me, and I got him into a bidding war, and
What a problem to have.
well, there was a reason why I was studying political science in college. I was able to negotiate renegotiate my dad's contract,
Right.
And I negotiated a huge contract for me when I was nobody.
So you're going
Yeah.
from a dog-eat-dog world to a dog-eat-dog world.
blood
It's the
sport.
same
Yeah.
thing.
But
And-
then remember también, pardon me, you también con alma.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, también.
So I mean, kudos to you because you stuck to your plan. You knew what your worth was. And somebody tells me, well, how do you know what you're worth? It's not really what you're worth. It's what they're willing to pay.
That's right.
And I mean-
that becomes your worth.
Yeah, that becomes your worth.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, what they're willing to pay becomes your worth. And if you think about it and you're going, oh, these cats want me, so okay, let's talk.
Yeah, and it was good because Sony got into the mix, and so Capital EMI, who my dad was with, and Sony were both,
Back and
bidding,
forth.
and Sony flew me to Miami,
Oh.
and so I took my grandfather, who's my dad's dad, my best friend, and he went along with me, and they threw me a hell of an offer. Mm-hmm. And so when I got back, I told him I got to call Manolo and tell him that I'm going to take the Sony offer, and my dad was pissed, and he's like, Ching, van a estar bien enojados conmigo porque vas a estar con la competencia. And I said, Dad, they had offered me $50,000 for the first CD and $25,000 for every optional CD that they wanted me to do.
Right.
So Manolo Gonzalez asked me, can I ask you, when I called him to thank him, and he said, can I ask you what they gave? I said, Manolo, I'm not calling you to try to get more. You made your best offer and it was way lower than what they were offering. He says, no, but I want to know what they're paying you. And I said, $50,000, and he didn't let me finish. And he says, I'll give you $60,000 per album.
Oh,
Right?
So write that in there,
If
man.
you tell me yes right now.
Oh, damn.
And I told him, look, Manolo, my dad at the time, they were giving him $15,000 a CD. I said, I'm nobody. I said, my dad's a legend. I said, if you can give him 30, I'll make the deal with 60 for you, and I'll tell you yes right now. And he said, done. And so I got there. My dad's hard of hearing, so my dad goes, ¿Qué dijo? ¿Qué dijo? and I told my dad, I just got you 100% raise, man.
I mean, I tell you
Not
what.
bad in a bad economy, because I think the economy was tanking right about then, right?
I think so, man.
Yeah.
I was just a broke college student, man. I mean, so for me, I told my dad, I'm getting $60,000. It'll cost me about $10,000 to $12,000 to do the CD. I'll pay taxes on that, and then I'll have money. And if I don't hit and I don't do well, so I'll go back to school. I have cash.
Yeah.
And so I just, I'm methodical. I plan, but at the same time, I also don't fight. I don't fight something, and I really was perfectly fine to say, if the people don't like me and they don't take to me, I'll go right back to school, and I'm okay with that too, because I felt that I was really smart at that, and I could succeed at being a lawyer, or down the road, doing anything associated with politics.
Speaking of politics, I know it's too soon, but I gotta ask, because I gotta ask. Have you decided, is it going to be local, county, state, national? What level are you entering politics? If you're not ready,
It isn't school board. So
it isn't the school board.
It isn't the school board.
Okay,
no.
all right.
But look.
If you're not ready, I'm good with it.
Yeah. The environment right now. The saddest part right now is you see all these comments on social media, right? You better not be a Democrat. You better not be a Republican, MAGA, this or that. We've become so polarized that we don't now. I think if you get into public office and you're defined by your tribe, right? I don't think that tribe thing is healthy for us as citizens, right?
Right.
Because the red-blue tribalism should be the Crips and the Bloods,
True.
and unfortunately now everybody's that's doing this tribalism is in politics,
Right.
and it's so immature because there's really not that much that separates us.
No.
If you're a diehard Republican and if you're a very liberal Democrat, there's going to be some disagreements for sure.
Right.
But if you're center left or center right, there's not.
No.
There's not that much, and I think that's where the majority of the people really are.
And you know, for the most part, you know, la raza del Bayuco, de aquí de San Antonio, raza,
Yeah.
that are older than 40, they all
right.
seem to vote Democratic, which I'm not saying that's good or bad. However, if you think about it, their thought process, everything that they do aligns more with the Republican Party than it does with the Democrat
Well, you
Party.
see, you're saying that now,
but there's
but remember the Democratic Party used to be the Dixiecrats.
Yeah.
They used to be the racists.
Right.
So my point is that party ideology is constantly shifting.
Right.
Right. So you know, when George Bush was president, we were the party of going, we'll stick a boot in your ass, and you know, wars and this and that, and now it becomes no wars. We're America first. Things are constantly changing.
Right.
What shouldn't change are your values and your ideals.
Exactly.
Right? And that, I think, is what somebody that serves in public office should fight for, right? Instead of fighting for a tribe. That's not what you're supposed to do. You're going to belong to one.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that they're going to dictate everything you got to think. I'm my own man. I think of my own ways of issues on my own. And so at the end of the day, I think we just don't have any sincere politicians that actually believe what they say. And I do.
Yeah, well, and that's a good point, because most guys will just say whatever it takes to get that vote.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And to me, you should be able to be yourself. You should.
Well, that's it, and we've seen that right now. Everybody just says whatever it takes to get elected. And that's it. I mean, there's no, no conviction.
There's so many agendas, you know.
Exactly, no conviction.
No.
Do you remember way back in the 80s? Que yo salí con Pulido for president.
I remember that. That's
That's right. Yeah.
Now, let me ask you, Roberto, what the hell would you have done if you've gotten elected?
Well, I'll tell you what.
Aside
would
from
have
free
moved
beer,
to Mexico.
everybody would have moved to Mexico. I think everybody's moving to Mexico now, and Canada, and Europe, and
But you'd be
everything.
surprised how many people said, I'll vote for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some white people were like, I've never heard of you. You're running for president? Yeah. It's like, well, you got my vote.
You got my vote. Okay.
well, that can happen. I tell you what, I'm here for a few more years, so you better be president one day.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, no! I mean, I would never.
Matter of fact,
yeah.
you've got to volunteer for your campaign.
Thank you.
A couple
I
of
never
when I told him, he's going, really? I might want to volunteer. I said, knock
I'll be
yourself
retired
out,
by
man.
then, yeah.
Which
I'm going to be secretary.
which I want to tell you, right? Like the reason I'm dressed this way, because probably go like, what the hell, you know? I just went golfing with Ricky Munoz from Intocable today.
Right.
He says sends his best.
Oh.
So we went and played golf. You know, I went to Houston. My wife and my son flew back because he had school today.
Right.
And I drove, road trip, right? So I drove from Houston to San Antonio to be
yeah.
here, and I called Ricky. So we went to go play, and so that's why I'm dressed like a golfer. But I have a funny story about
But it's butt-ass cold out there today, wasn't it?
It was cold.
Yeah.
It was cold, but we had a great time. It
Yeah.
was fun. But I have a story tell them the story, Dad, about when I think it was at your golf tournament. Because my dad doesn't play golf.
Yeah.
Right? At all.
But I was sincere, okay?
Yes, right.
The guy that was taking pictures of the holes y todo eso, I was playing a 3-man scramble con little Joey Ruben Ramos. And the guy kept going like that, and I said, and I was the third one, le dije, hey, dude, I don't know how to play very well, no hay pedo, está bueno. Le hice así, ¡pum! A la madre.
He hit him between
the forehead.
He hit him right between the eyes.
So Senator Lucio's brother was the marshal of the total contest. Le dije, Bobby, le dije,
Mama just killed the man.
How long ago was this?
Oh, eh?
Huh? How long ago?
How long was it?
It's been at least 12 years
Oh,
ago.
good.
But I mean, I told him. And then the following year, we were performing in West Texas called Little Joe and Los Tres Amigos, okay? And I didn't make it. But the following year fui para atrás y estaba ahí. And I had to go, estábamos en el cartón.
The golf cart.
Pasó un muchacho, le dije, hey, dude, you remember me? Dijo, yeah, I'm staying away from you.
Did he sign a glove? Did he sign a glove? Did he sign a glove?
Oh, no, he did not sign a glove. He didn't know what that is. I don't think he had a glove.
I wish you would have had the camera. And I wonder if he took the camera, but o tenía la bola derechita así.
Wow.
Hey, watch. The week que siguió, I played en el ¿cómo se llama? El golf contest que tenía Rubén Ramos in Austin. Hey, it was like a bullet shot around the world. Todos, hey, be
careful with that guy, man. He'll hurt you.
Well, the statute of limitations has run out, so don't worry about it, Roberto. You're good. All right, so, okay. You know, let's go back to music. And no disrespect to anybody here, because I love the city of San Antonio. I made it my home back in 1993. San Antonio always been dubbed the capital of Tejano music. However, I've noticed right now that a lot of the better music, the better produced, the more mainstream music is coming out of the Valle.
For sure.
I mean, and the one band I'm going to throw out there that people are probably sick of hearing is Grupo Frontera. You know, they were on the Jimmy Kimmel Show. They've been all over the place.
But it was even before that.
Yes.
Listen, Grupo Signo, Jesse Turner.
Uh-huh.
Right? I mean, modern from art, you know, more closer. There hasn't,
Yourself.
Well, I was way before Jesse.
Right.
But I'm saying, like, even Jesse, I mean, not recent, but it's kind of recent. He's been like one of the most recent, and he had a lot of success.
Right.
Right? Elidas from there, Grupo Más.
Lucky Joe.
And, Sólido. And I don't know if it's just the Valley as much as it's border music, right? Because Intocable, Zapata,
Oh, yeah.
Sólido,
Right.
Intenso, Duelo, right?
Yeah.
The list goes on and on and on. I mean, even Secreto,
Right.
who was like kind of not that long ago. I think that what's happened is the Tejano, we were really the Tejano genre here in San Antonio was more pocho based. And I say that pocho not in a bad way,
Right.
but where we predominantly speak in English and not so much in Spanish.
I think, you know, Gilbert and I have talked that for Tejano a long time was running parallel to whatever was happening
That's
in
true.
the English pop.
That's true.
In the English
yeah.
pop world.
When Maz had their music, it was disco.
Yeah.
Right. So they used the synthesizers and stuff like that.
And
know.
before, Little Joe and Ruben
The
Ramos,
Brown
all those
Sound,
guys,
right.
you know,
Big band,
Chicago,
big
you
band.
know,
That's
Chicago and Blood, Sweat, and Tears and those bands, you know.
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
You know what? I want to give myself a little bit of credit. Cuando yo empecé way back in 1972, 73, el acordeón, you wouldn't hear the accordion.
Right.
And I decided to bring the accordion with the saxophones because like los saxofones eran parte de la orquesta and a lot of acordeonistas, Roberto, tú despertaste el acordeón.
I've seen where you've been credited with that.
Well, and
bringing
I think-
that
yeah.
sound, bringing that sound together.
Yeah.
Who influenced you on that, or is this something you just did?
Something that I thought about
My
because
grandfather.
I wanted to,
My grandfather.
yeah, I wanted to come up with a different style.
My mom's father.
Yeah.
Oh,
Very-
okay.
very
Montes.
Yeah,
That's right.
mi suegro,
And I
Mario
mean-
Montes de los Doreños.
Yeah,
okay?
you've been given credit by, you know, David Lee Garza, who also had an accordion and a saxophone. So, I mean, not to your extent, but still, nonetheless. I
You
mean,
know what? El grupo más, la mafia, los dos Gilbertos, mi compadre David Lee Garza, even Emilio Navaire, may he rest in peace. I took all those guys on the road, La Sombra.
You started with a lot of them.
I mean, because they would tell me, hey, Roberto, chica, te van a ganar. It's not about winning, man. The thing that's more important to me is our culture. Para que siga adelante esta música, esa tradición.
Right.
¿Entiendes? Because, like, for the longest time, you know, they've had it down in the bottom, man. And I'm very proud of Bobby, ahora que se presentó ahí. Qué bonito.
Yeah.
Qué bonito que otras gentes escuchen lo que viene siendo una cultura muy
Yeah.
única. Because we speak English and we record in English and Spanish, you know?
Yeah, but I think that musically, San Antonio has always been very progressive musically.
Right.
I'm glad
You
you
know,
said that. If I may interject at this point.
You may.
Yeah.
You may.
San Antonio, man. The music from here, and without not hating on anybody or anything anywhere.
That's right.
But the music from San Antonio, what we were doing, the harmonic structure of the music that we do around here is of another. What do you want to? I don't want to say another level.
No, it
We
is.
use a lot of
It
jazz
is.
harmonies here.
That's right.
We use the big band,
Lots.
use the chords, more orchestration,
I can't hear
and this
what
other
you're saying,
stuff.
but
As of
yeah.
late, it's and that's a good thing. Perhaps it's a little more simpler, maybe more pleasing to a broader audience.
Right.
Somebody would say.
I think the Mexican audience, right? Because we live on the border, so we get a lot more influx of people that are just have gotten there
Right.
or first generation. And the vibe in Mexico, their music, if you listen to Norteño's very, it's like it would be like the version of old school country. 3-chord songs, straightforward, a good beat, a good dancing beat. And I always kind of try to not jazz up my stuff because I could jazz it up more, but I felt that it was going to limit me in what I saw coming down the road, which was more people coming from Mexico and being born here, but still having those roots. Right. And so they really like more simplicity in the music. And I kind of tried to give it that way.
Plus,
So-
it's also a generational thing, don't you think? I mean,
It is.
because for the
Yeah,
most part,
for
I
sure.
didn't want to be associated with my parents' music. I love some of the artists that they presented to me when my mom sat me down and we listened to music.
But you know what, John? That's not the case because Desvelado has jumped many generations.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So there's kids that are going, that's my jam.
Yeah.
Right? They don't say, I didn't like what my parents listened to. And that's probably because of social media.
Yeah.
But
Plus the fact that it's been covered by so many artists of otros géneros.
También.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, with social media now, before the gatekeepers used to be radio.
Yeah.
And if radio stopped playing you, you died.
Right.
Pretty much.
Right?
yeah.
Because they move on to the next, the latest and the greatest, and whatever's old, they stop playing it, right? But now with social media, one of the very few positive things of social media, right? Because social media has a lot of negative stuff.
Yeah.
But one of the positive things is that now people can say, I want to hear that old music and I like it, and they'll listen to it. And there's no gatekeeper anymore. It's, I want to listen to that, and they can listen to it. And that's cool.
You know, in Monterrey, you hear so much Tejano music,
Oh, yeah.
and Chihuahuas, it's like,
Well, but it's more conjunto based.
Yeah, I
Right?
understand
They
that.
like Monterrey. Everybody says Tejano, right? There's Tejanos that go play.
Right.
But the ones that have had the most success,
Right.
and I take myself out of the equation, right? But the ones that have had the most success are conjuntos. Why? Because it's very similar to Norteño. There's 3-chord songs. They're not jazzed
Simple.
up. It's simple, and
Yeah.
it's a dancing beat.
But
And I
there-
think people still like that simplicity over there.
There's a couple of cover bands over there, and one of them, I forget who it is, but they do Pulido better than Pulido does Pulido. And I'm talking about Roberto. I'm like, damn. I mean, I was like, holy,
There's
for a cover band, I was like,
there's a lot of
damn.
talent there, man.
Yeah.
And they love our culture. They
Yeah.
really do. El Plan, they're fantastic musicians, man.
Mm-hmm.
If you listen to them, I mean, they're good friends of mine. They're fantastic. They're so good.
Well, we need to have him here.
you
we need to have him
remember,
here.
you remember the
You gotta speak
what
Spanish.
the best saxophone player que había, el Valle, René Sandoval. He told me something long time ago. He said, you play so difficult and yet you play so simple. And he told me something. Roberto, don't ever forget, simplicity is the most important thing in life because everybody understands it.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The same thing applies.
And it's the hardest thing to do.
We use that in radio. We have the
yeah.
word KISS put out there. Keep it simple, stupid.
That's
yeah.
right. That's right.
Exactly.
But you know, as a musician, I can tell you, to play simple and play good, it's not easy. You know, sometimes if you have a crutch and you put little pasadas and ta-ta-ta-ta, that kind of helps get you through, right? I don't know about you, Gilbert. Do you feel
No, you are right. It's difficult to get musicians just play it straight.
right?
We're very impressed you can play all of that, but put that aside and just play it straight.
That's right.
And that's one of my biggest battles here with the people that I work with.
I have a story of Noe Gallegos, who used to be the engineer for Grupo Más, and he was working for me, right? And one time we stopped at a Whataburger, and Noe kind of said, "Want a cookie?" Right? And so the girl at Whataburger says, "Well, do you want chocolate chip, oatmeal, macadamia nut?" And he looks at her like, "I just want a cookie," right? And you know the music is like that, right? sometimes you just say, I just want a cookie.
I just want a
give
cookie.
me the cookie,
Yeah.
man. Like, I don't need all the other stuff.
Yeah.
And it's hard, man. It's hard to do. It's hard. It's a hard thing to get.
Speaking of which, before I forget, you are producing or have produced your dad's final album.
Yeah.
One of the most beautiful songs I heard, and to me, it kind of reminds me of Frank Sinatra's "My Way." And we've got one of the video clips here that we just borrowed from YouTube.
Yeah.
And but it's a beautiful song. And both of you guys are in the video. And Roberto, kudos, man. I've heard you sound really, really well. I've heard you sound, más o menos.
Yeah.
Pero así pasa con los años. But on this song, your voice is so strong.
Todo por servir
Se acaba, yes, sir. But on this song, your voice is so strong, and I was like, damn.
Porque está hablado.
I wanted to cry a todo con lo que decía la canción allí.
So let's share that song with you.
He didn't want to record it.
Mi carrera ya está por terminar. Oh, give me a break.
Here we
Hey,
go.
2025 is the end of
Hey,
it,
the
man.
honeydews at the house don't stop, man.
Well, okay, but let's play it for him.
Oye, mijo, tenemos que hablar. Escúchame. Hijo mío, los años me están ganando. Mi carrera ya está por terminar. Orgulloso me siento de ser tu padre. La bandera ahora tienes que cargar. Como un buen soldado enfrentas la batalla. Porque un hombre nunca deja de luchar. En los tiempos más difíciles de tu vida vas a encontrar la manera de triunfar. Hijo mío, porque hoy me voy con Dios. Ahí te dejo estos consejos, tu papá. Habla con Dios cada día y tu camino alumbrará. Y recuerda, cuida bien a tu mamá. Hijo mío, porque hoy me voy con Dios y al fin me voy al cielo a descansar. No dejes de ser humilde, siempre habla con la verdad. Y recuerda, cuida bien a tu mamá. Hijo mío, los años me están ganando. Mi carrera ya está por terminar. Orgulloso me siento de ser tu padre. La bandera ahora tienes que cargar. Como un buen soldado enfrentas la batalla. Porque un hombre nunca deja de luchar. En los tiempos más difíciles de tu vida vas a encontrar la manera de triunfar. Hijo mío, porque hoy me voy con Dios. Ahí te dejo estos consejos, tu papá. Habla con Dios cada día y tu camino alumbrará. Y recuerda, cuida bien a tu mamá. Hijo mío, porque hoy me voy con Dios y al fin me voy al cielo a descansar. No dejes de ser humilde, siempre habla con la verdad. Y recuerda, cuida bien a tu mamá. Y recuerda, cuida mucho a tu mamá.
que sí, mi viejo. Así como usted siempre la ha cuidado.
That sounded pretty good.
Yes,
You
it
know, una persona que no le hemos dado crédito es mi señora esposa Diana.
Yeah.
Because I would hit the road and she took care of my kids. And sometimes I would hit the road 3-4 months without coming home. And my dad and her would drive them pa verlos. And show us. Soy una persona bien agradecida, okay? And I'm going back to what I said earlier. I've been blessed, gracias a Dios, and thanks to the upbringing that my parents gave me.
Yeah.
Muchas de las veces, not a day goes by que I do not remember my dad, because él me decía, mijo, los dichos eran bien cortitos. Digo, pero hay uno que nunca quiero que se te olvide. Es bueno ser importante, pero lo más importante es ser bueno. You know, like I said earlier,
Yes, sir.
we're like the farmers, man. What you plant, you reap. And I think that I planted a good seed. And Bobby, you're an example. Mi hija Alma y mi hijo Marco Antonio también. It's been a blessing.
Yeah.
Okay? No sabemos cómo, cuándo y dónde, pero nacimos para morir. And I've been blessed.
Congratulations, man, on a long career, and I guess it's suiting, it's that you ended this year tanto año en el ambiente, los
It's a hard life, man.
It is a hard life.
So people don't realize it. Yeah, people don't realize it.
And like he said, he missed birthdays, he missed anniversaries, he missed funerals, all this stuff. You miss it because you're on the road. Oh, real quick, before I forget, the song was produced here at Velasquez Studio.
That's true. That's
Gilbert
right.
Velasquez, Bobby
that's
Pulido, written by Beto Ramon. What a beautiful song.
Beto is I wanted to recognize him. He's a fantastic writer.
Yeah.
He wrote Se Murió de Amor for me, Que Me Lleven Canciones de Grupo Más, Laura.
Yep.
Beto is the absolute most prolific songwriter in Tejano music today and has been like this since Luis Silva passed. I think the two.
I remember it was always Luis Silva, Beto Ramon.
Oh yeah, man,
Luis Silva, Beto Ramon,
and Beto's still cranking him out, and he's been battling cancer.
Yeah.
And I my prayers are always with him. He's a great man, and when he gave me the song, I said my dad has to sing this song.
Yeah.
And I showed it to my dad at first, and my dad's like, "Necesito una cumbia." And I tell him, Dad, listen to the lyrics, Dad. Listen to the words.
It's not La Ronera, Roberto.
Right. I'm not lying, right? So I told him, I don't care what you say, you're recording this song. I said, this song is a song this is a classic.
Yeah.
This is the one that you're going to leave there, man, forever. And so he heard it again and went, yeah, you're right. It's a great song. And
I guess it's the same way like what I did with Pequeñito.
Yes, exactly. The same way.
Because it's been there for the longest time.
Yeah, and people are always going to be able to relate to it through music, right? Music drags out those emotions in us, man. It really does.
Fortunately and unfortunately.
That's true. Yeah. But a lot of times it'll drag out the happiness in us, the nostalgia, the love. It pulls it out, man. And anytime you're in a bad mood, listen to music, man. It'll change it.
I can remember listening to Señorita Cantinera. It was on, I think.
You took the words right out of my mouth, man.
I can remember that.
Borracho.
And I can remember meeting him about 40.
That wasn't a song. They was just he was actually just saying it. He was just telling you what was happening, right?
And that is the power of music. I remember meeting him 40 years ago in the corner of Overland and Main in Burley, Idaho, like 40 years ago.
Wow.
Pero I can't remember why I went to the kitchen, why I'm going in there. But I can remember the songs, and they, they bring back those memories. They're right. So.
Yeah, I mean, everybody blames me. Ando borracho de celos. Wait a minute, man. I did.
It must be that coffee, Dad.
I did commercial for 3 beer companies. Mi señora, why don't you do a commercial for Hajia Milk? Por favor. Like that's what your sister, no fun.
That's funny. So to some extent, both of you are going out on top. Roberto with a great single, his final album. You just won a Latin Grammy a couple of years ago. You go out and perform, the Texans halftime to 70,000 people, and it was a huge success. You kicked it out of the ballpark, as I put on my post. It seems like the right time for both of you guys to leave. Desafortunadamente, as fans, we won't be getting any more Pulido music. We're going to have to depend on the old stuff.
Listen, I'm leaving because I'm gonna give it my all.
Right.
In with my ability, in what I want to do is to serve the people, but I'm not closing the door down in the road. I'll tell you this, right? I respect my dad a lot. For me, it's I do not want to go out. Call me vain, whatever, man. I want to go out singing good and looking good. I don't want people. I don't want to. And I've worked hard, believe it or not, for me to be in a position financially where I didn't want to spend money stupidly and buy stupid sport cars and things like that.
Thanks for looking at me when you're saying that.
Yes,
Okay.
I know I'm not saying you're stupid, but I'm just saying that's your thing. It's not.
Was my thing.
It was your thing. It's not my thing, right?
Killed a lot of birds with one stone.
And you know what? Irrespective of however good my career's gone, nothing in my life changed. I didn't buy anything more.
Yeah.
I reached a point where I said, money is good. I can provide for my family. I'm good. I want to try something and help people in a different way. But Arnold Schwarzenegger became the governor, and after that he went back to doing movies. So I'm not saying down the road that may not happen. I don't know. The truth of the matter is I don't know, but as long as the people want me to do things for them in a different light, I think I can envision myself continuing to do that.
So the door is open to you being a lifelong politician for the rest of...
I mean, lifelong, believe me, I don't want to be like Joe Biden, right? No.
No, and I know what you're saying.
Yeah, because there is a point where you say, cuélgalos, hang up the... No, I believe it. I mean, I tell my wife, we talk about this all the time. Like, I want to enjoy my retirement one day with her where we can just go play golf. We love to play golf together.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I say. Like, I mean, I can envision myself being 68, 60, 70 and saying, okay, I don't want to be in that. I want to enjoy life. But before that, I want to do things to serve my people. I really do. I want to make a difference. And I heard Mike Tyson the other day when he was fighting in that sham boxing match with
You really call that a fight?
It was not a fight. That's why I said a sham boxing match. But this little 15-year-old interviewed him, and he was rather rude because they asked him what he thought about his legacy, and he's like, I don't have a legacy. I'll be dead, right? He's talking about I'll be dead after. I won't care about what the legacy is. Right? And I thought to myself, I couldn't disagree with that more. Like, even if I'm dead, the legacy you leave is not for you.
It's for your family.
It's
your
for your
kids
and your grandkids, man, to say, you know what? My granddad did this and he was great. Right. And so for me, it matters, right? My grandfather would always tell me, you better not do anything to destroy the good name that we have.
Yeah.
And that always stuck with me. Right. And I've always tried my best to never been in jail, You
are the most boring party Tejano artist ever.
I am, dude. I am. Absolutely,
I would rather go drinking with your dad than with you.
My buddy Joe Michael tells me, you guys are the perfect typical father and son. The only thing is you're like the father and he's like the son.
Before I forget, you mentioned que baby retired at 70. No, you're going to have to wait till you're 75, como yo.
Oh, wow. Okay, man.
What I want to find out...
I want to play golf. I like golf.
What I want to find out, Primo, is que, okay, we know what Bobby's going to do. What are you going to do in retirement? ¿Vamos a la pesca o qué?
Pues a la pesca la tirada because whatever, but
right
you know what?
Man.
I want to get away from the house because si no lo had to do,
my mom puts him to work. My mom puts him to work. You got to do this, you got to do that. So I'm like, I got to go sing.
You have you ready for the army in a week, man.
I'll look you up for the pesca. The last time we went, all I got was a hangover.
Hey, I tell you what, you got to try my fishy lures que hago.
That's right.
I make them
That's
out
right.
of deer horn.
You
I
do.
call them the horny lures.
They're horny.
Yeah.
They're horny.
Yeah, ya salieron in a couple of magazines, okay?
And that's, cool.
I even make golf clubs. I make daggers. I make nice back scratchers. And your arm is long enough you can scratch your butt también.
And all from deer horns that shed their their horns.
Yes.
Right. Every year the deer horns, they fall down. So you go out to the ranch and you go look in and you find their sheds and
I got a couple little things right here.
I got the Texan one too, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he gave me this about 20 years ago, the crucifix. That was forever and a moon ago. I was like, damn.
And I have one for you también.
That's
yeah?
cool to have. In fact, I have one of those with a crucifix. I send him a picture, Robert.
Dude, so many people that I know are like, your dad gave me this. You don't know how many people, man. Your dad gave me this. Your dad gave me this. But you know what? He's all heart, man. He's all heart.
He is.
And again, that's the legacy that he's going to leave, and that's priceless.
That's why when I had it on a Sunday, and got to thinking, I texted him. I says, "Made by Roberto Pulido and approved by God."
Yes, so it must have been about 20 years ago. I happened, my mom was still living, so I'd go visit her once a month, twice a month, and all of a sudden my phone's ringing. I go, and it's Bobby. He's going, "Hey, what are you doing?" I said, "Hey, I'm down here in the lower valley, but I'm headed back to the upper valley." He's like, "Really? Why don't you come by the house and this and that?" I was like, and I'll show you my game room. I'm like, okay. Yeah, I mean, hey, you tell me game room. I'm expecting to see a pool table, a foosball table, a bar filled with beer and liquor and stuff like that. I walk in there and I'm going, the hell? Oh, he meant that kind of game. There's a wolf and there's all this, stuff that you're pretty good with that damn rifle, but I didn't know things you didn't know about Bobby Pulido. He is a southpaw when it comes to shooting a rifle.
That's right. I'm not a southpaw in regular life.
Really?
Yeah. I shoot a rifle left hand because I am left eye dominant. We all have a dominant eye.
Okay.
And my dominant eye is left.
And you found this out how?
I would always pick up a gun since my dad. When we were little, man, I shot my first whitetail deer at the age of 7.
Oh.
And I got four boys. Right. And the older ones, they all harvested their first whitetail at 5 years old. Right. Hey,
7.
a family that slays together stays together. Right? No, but anyway, so that's I would always shoot a gun left-handed.
Okay, now I shoot my rifle right hand, but I shoot my bow left hand.
Yeah, we're weird.
I
shoot pool left-handed.
Right.
Really?
I shoot pool. I shoot with a bow left-handed because I aim with my left eye, and so I used to shoot right-handed rifles, but I would shoot this way, and then I'd have to bring my hand over here to reload. So I was already making some money, and I said, I bought a left-handed gun, and I sat there all week in front of the TV and just doing this with my left hand, and it felt so awkward. But then it became really normal.
Hey, what about the golf thing?
I golf right-handed. I'm right. I throw right-handed. I do everything right-handed.
En la familia de nosotros, hijo de su, there's a fungus among us because no, uno derecho, otro izquierdo.
Oh yeah, we're all over the place. My little boy Rodrigo is lefty, right eye dominant. So I'm teaching him how to shoot right-handed, even though he's a lefty.
And my daughter Alma
is lefty.
She's
lefty. She's all lefty.
And she writes with the right hand.
Right.
And I mean,
we're weird, man.
What impressed me about all of you, your sister and yourself, is you got started in this thing way early. You were young.
Yeah.
But when it came to going to Mexico, learning the language, I mean, at some point in time, I remember Alma being better at Spanish than you were.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is she still better, or have you?
Hell no. Are you kidding? Listen, bro, when my Spanish is so good in Mexico, they can't tell that I'm from over here. Straight up.
What's the secret? Help.
you know what?
Well, it doesn't hurt to marry a Mexican wife.
I have one.
Okay, from Mexico.
Yes. And I also watch novelas,
Okay.
I've seen you on a couple of
You
novelas.
don't watch novelas for the language. You watch novelas for
Ninel
the
Conde,
babes,
babe.
okay?
Ninel Conde, she's right there.
Oh,
That was a great
I-
scene you did with her in
Thank you.
I want to tell you a
Fuego del
story
Amor.
right
Yeah.
quick.
Fuego la Sangre.
Una historia. You know what? I had a maid de el otro lado.
Sí.
She wanted to learn English. Entonces le dije, mira, tú estás en español o work conmigo, entonces en inglés. Oye, mi hermano, she got her GED and she even went to Pan American University.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Todo está querer.
And she taught you guys how to speak Spanish?
Not really.
No, not really.
She tried though.
Okay.
But we did learn how to say what we wanted to eat because if not, we couldn't eat.
Right.
But I can't tell you that I was a fluent Spanish speaker. To be able to, para hablar el español correctamente bien, hay que hacerlo, cometer muchos errores que te corrigen y cada vez mejorar poco a poquito y empaparte, tener amigos. Yo voy a la Ciudad de México 3 meses al año. Llevo mi familia porque mi esposa es de allá. Vamos allá, convivo con su familia, sus papás, su hermano.
Y puro español.
Y tengo amigos puro español, ¿verdad? Puro español. Tengo amigos allá, vamos a jugar golf allá. Y ya te vas acostumbrando.
Yeah.
Yo no pocheo. Yo normalmente o hablo todo español o prefiero hablar puro inglés.
And for those of you that are wondering what the word pocho means, pocho is a term, and back in the day, I kind of took it as a negative thing.
Yeah,
but it was
that's how it
aimed.
started.
It was aimed at us that were born in the States, but we go visit our family in Mexico.
Right.
And our
we assimilate
into English, yes,
American
yeah.
culture.
Right.
So our Spanish culture was a little weak,
Right.
And our language was even weaker.
Yeah, try growing up in Idaho.
So por eso, and I had a primo, en paz descanse, Francisco, and we'd go hang out. Y decía, ahí viene Pancho con su primo Pocho.
Oh yeah, man. But it was tough for me, man, because at first I would go over there and I made a lot of mistakes and it was tough. But
That's what we learn, son. You have to make mistakes.
yeah, of course. And you know what? It was bold of me to do that, right? I went to foreign. I know my dad. My dad would tell me when I first told my dad and my grandfather that I was going to go to Mexico. Their first thing was no, because there's this one promoter that was over there that was
Right.
trying to lure me over there, right? And I really wanted to go, and they go, he's gonna screw you, and they would tell me he's gonna screw you, and I said, you're right, but I'm negotiated a 1-year deal. 1 year, I'm gonna sign a contract. He's gonna promote the hell out of me over there. I said, and he's gonna screw me for a year. But after that year, I'm going to be really well known over there.
Yeah, you couldn't buy that kind of publicity anyway, right?
That's true.
On your own.
And so I paid my dues, bro.
Yeah.
I went and I know that the places were packed, bro. And it's like, oh, here's the money that you generated. Yeah, right. Okay. I knew that wasn't true.
Right.
But I was willing to put in the work because the bigger picture was I was going to grow my career and grow my brand in a different country. And I was willing to make that trade.
Yeah,
And I told them, and they were mad at me at first. They're like, he's going to screw you. I know. I'm telling you, I know he is. But I'm looking at the bigger picture.
Yeah, but you were thinking 3 years down the road, 4 years down the road, not this month, not next year.
That's right.
Estaba sembrando.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot. Listen, I learned a lot from my dad. We were raised in the old school, man. I raised my sons old school. I'm not a modern dad. I'm an old school dad.
So you didn't put him in timeout.
No, I whooped that ass.
Chiquillo,
dude, I still
he
whoop that ass.
speaks English and Spanish.
Es todo.
But like my dad will tell him, if I'm not there, right, I'm gonna call your dad. Oh no. Yeah, I'm a drill sergeant.
Yeah.
With, I'm strict. I'm a strict dad, because I gave him lots of love, but lots of limits and discipline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you had to pay your dues in the music industry because we've talked about the stories,
I did,
the
man.
bands that thought, pay your dues, dude, pay your dues before
You've had some of those guys here.
Right. Do you think that in politics, in the political world, you're going to have to also pay your dues?
Sure, of course.
Do you think there'll be as much of that, hey, you need to pay your dues as there was in nuestra música?
I'm used to it. It's
Yeah.
okay. I mean, listen, to me, it's you got to understand, like I'm not coming as a singer just wanting to get into politics. I studied that, right? I have lived it and educated myself more than you could ever know about all the issues, right? And I'm not trying to brag about it, but this is true. This is something that I have, over the years, have really versed myself really well in every issue. So I'm not going in blind. I'm not a neophyte. I'll tell you this, I was a much bigger neophyte in music than I'll be going into politics. But nonetheless, it doesn't mean that you get there and go, yo soy el chingón y yo sé todo. That's not the way it is. But I think it could also be an advantage that I'm not in that field, because I'm pretty honest about what I say.
Right.
And no tengo pelos en la lengua.
Exactly.
And sometimes I think that people like that, and it endears people to that because they want you to tell them like it is. And I've always been really straightforward about things. I don't dance around, the issues. And so I feel prepared for that. I really do. And I know that it's going to be a different world and whatnot if I'm so lucky enough to get in, right? I mean, that's different. But, it's not easy. I'm gonna give it my all and do the best and let the chips fall where they may.
Just learn the ropes. Just learn. It's more about just learning the game.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
You know, in all reality, man, you know what? Life, if you want to do something, you have to jump in the water if you want to learn how to swim.
Yep.
Same thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Vas a sembrar. And, claro, you have to make mistakes, but then learn from the mistakes.
And that's the thing. I'm a quick learner, man. I mean, I learn really fast, and so everything that I've gotten into and I put my mind to it, when I wanted to be a golfer, I applied myself and practiced, and I became a good golfer, right?
Oh, by the way, he also went to the Masters one year.
I did not go to the Masters. I went to the Ryder Cup.
I thought you'd gone to the Masters.
I
Okay.
wish. That's my bucket. That's another bucket list, right? I did a lot of bucket lists, man. Like last year, I went to Metallica. That's my favorite rock band. I got to see 2 shows, and I was like, oh my God.
You did the FedEx Open, right?
I went to the FedEx St. Jude, but I've been to U.S. Opens, I've been to PGA Championships and stuff like that. Yeah.
Cool.
And you also went on this exotic game hunting thing in Alaska or something like that, didn't you?
We've hunted throughout the world. Yeah, we have.
Africa.
Yeah.
Africa.
Yeah.
Damn. Okay. Didn't you also go to?
I went to the Northwest Territories with my dad.
Okay.
And hunting is not always about killing. It's about the memories. And I took my dad. We went on a caribou hunt up in the Northwest Territories, and we had some memorable experiences that we did together. Funny ones, dude. Like, hey, tell them. So my dad's hard of hearing, right? But so he can't hear real well. I can hear okay. So we were in Northwest Territories, and this is the coldest that I have ever felt, right? Would you say the Northwest Territories coldest it's ever been?
Yep.
Right? Yeah. Like
my jewels felt like ovaries, man.
His jewels felt like ovaries. It was really cold. So we were at camp and in the kitchen, and my dad goes, "Voy al baño." Right? And so the restrooms there were outhouses.
Oh, damn. Talk about shrinkage.
Oh, yeah, man. Outhouses, right?
Yeah.
With no heaters, right?
Right.
I mean, that's just the way it is. And you slept in a little carpa, right? That had a little wood stove heater that just because it was real cold. So, man, my dad took forever, dude. And I just kind of, I was hearing something, and I'd hear, and it was like that for, I'm talking about 10 minutes, bro, right? And we're talking, and it's a lot of time has passed, right? And I tell the guys, I go, man, my dad's taking a long time, and we're still here. And I walked out, dude, and I look at and walk in the direction of the outhouse, and I'm hearing that come out of the outhouse. When I'm walking towards it, I see that the palanca from the outside had fallen down and had locked him in the outhouse. and I'm walking, and it's a wooden outhouse, and it has a little gap like that. And my dad's got his eye like that. He goes, "Ábreme, cabrón."
You know, it's around the camp they had
Bobby.
a big fence.
I remember this story.
Oh,
Tell them that one. Yeah, that story.
Okay, Gilbert, but another funny story, right? So my dad's hilarious, dude.
Yes,
and
he
he's
is.
not trying to be funny, right? So one time we go to a hunting lease over there by Laredo in Encinal, and my dad was up in the blind, and me and my manager Roberto Benavides got there late, right? And we're like, man, we got there late. And there was no cell phones. My dad he's in the blind. And Jimmy, my dad's compadre goes, he's out there but I don't know what blind. He said, chinga, pues let's go see, right? Where he's at, and wherever he's not at, we'll go get him. We'll get in the blind, right? It was already late. So we drive, and we're looking with the binoculars, and was he there? I said, I don't know, man. Let's drive. So we drive, and then I put the binoculars up, and my dad he's pissed, sticks his hand out, right? And he starts throwing us the finger like this. And he goes like this. And he goes like that, right? And he's going like that. And I go, let's go over there, man. He's mad. And so we drive there. And my dad comes down, todo enojado. I had some deers there, and you guys drove there, and you spooked them away, and this and that. I go, hey, I know. But I know what this means. I said, but what does this mean? Que están cagando el palo. Que están cagando el palo. He's good at sign language.
Ay, apenas te me estaba preparando.
I'm going to check the sign language log just to make sure that that's in there. I don't think so, okay?
No, it should be.
Ay,
Well, look, I think fortunately for us, this is, this year is, and new endeavors for you guys. But there's some more Pulidos coming up. When or will we hear from these new generation?
I don't know,
I did hear
man.
that 'cause, Robert, last time I was there, he played a cassette of, I think it was your son.
Yeah.
He can sing.
Well, my nephew Jojo is not my son.
Okay.
My sons they're all musically
hijo de mi
inclined. Yeah.
alma. La misma
Yeah.
cara que este vato.
But
Canta igual, toca la guitarra.
Alma's son looks like me. Right,
Ándale.
Jojo. He's half Pulido, he's Longoria. And I don't know, he's a very smart kid. He's good in school.
Yeah.
And so
The same thing that I told my dad told me. When I started con los hermanos way back in 1965, you gave me an education primero. You do this on the side. ¿Me entiendes? Because simple reason que you get the education and you have it. Porque ha habido muchos músicos que le entran a la música and they're very sharp, and then they don't make it, and then they never go back to school.
But he's got charisma and he sings really well.
Yeah.
And he's a very driven kid. So who knows? It's going to be up to him. I've worked with him vocally, and we've kind of go back and forth on things to bounce ideas off each other and stuff. I've been a little bit busy right now, but
Right.
If he wants to do that, I'll support him 100%, and I think he'd do well. He's a good-looking kid. He's very charismatic, and he's kind of shy like me. And he's talented. He really is. He learns the guitar by himself, and we'll see. It's going to be entirely up to him.
Well, and speaking of vocally, you're one of the few guys, singers, vocalists, that has actually had a vocal coach.
Oh, I've had many.
Yeah.
Many
And-
vocal coaches, yeah.
Me?
Well,
You've never been my vocal coach.
No.
No. So, give me the reason.
I wanted to be good. And when I first started, I didn't have the formal training to be a voice coach. So I told the label, I said, do you guys know of anybody? And they said, yeah, there's a guy in Beverly Hills named Seth Riggs.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this guy was Michael Jackson's voice coach. Michael Jackson, Julio Iglesias.
I think I've heard of those guys.
Seth Riggs. Seth Riggs was Stevie Wonder's that was his first singer.
Yeah.
Right, and he's a phenomenal vocal coach. And I went there and spent a week with him, and it was awesome because on his wall, dude, he had like a freaking like the whole wall. You know how people have gold records?
Gold records, yeah.
He had Thriller that Michael Jackson gave him.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just full of gold records, and it was to commemorate the greatest selling album of all time.
Thriller, yeah.
Right, and so, and he actually, when we first started working, he put a cassette, because it was that long ago. He puts a cassette, and it's a guy doing la 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 la, all the vocals, and the guy goes real high and then goes way low, like lower than I ever have gone. And he says, "Who do you think that is?" And I said, "I have no idea, but he sings really low." Michael Jackson.
Really?
Michael Jackson. I go, "What are you talking about? That guy, he talks like this."
Yeah.
And he goes, "No, that guy got a range on him.
Wow.
He's committed." And that's when he told me, he goes, he pays me $21,000 a week to go on tour with him and just vocalize him, to do vocal. He would take his piano and do vocal warm-ups before he'd go sing. And that's just a commitment to your craft, right? And
Yeah.
so, then I had Per Bristow, who is a Swedish guy out of Culver City over there. Also worked with him, a great vocal coach. Just trying to get better, bro. Like, I mean, not everybody's Jay Pettis, right? no. And Jay was born with a beautiful, one of the best voices out there, right? I mean, you have to try to work at your craft and get better, and that's what it's constantly trying to do, right? I'm a perfectionist, and so whenever I had all my illnesses and I was sick, it was very frustrating for me. And I was so pissed because I didn't want to retire on not my terms.
What
Right.
about your dad?
What?
Where you rank me?
Oh, Dad, this guy, dude. I'm telling you. No, I've told anybody that will listen. He's an animal to sing, man. No, I'm serious. I would see him in the studio, right? I had a front row seat, so we'd go to the studios, and I'd sit in the back, and he would be doing vocals. This guy was a beast, man. Like, I mean,
I believe it.
A beast, right? Like, just on point. And he'd walk in, like even with me, right? He'd walk in and he'd listen to the bajo sexto player and he'd say, "This third string is out of tune." And I'm like, "You're supposed to be hard of hearing." He goes, "I can hear when things are out of tune." He goes, "It's out of tune." And sure enough, we'd go check it, and he was right. So he had a very, he was music major, so he's very stickler for all the stuff.
Yeah,
So
I was hard of hearing. I mean, las palabras, but there's certain decibels en el sonido que I can pick up. I can tell you more or less. Now, one of the I recorded songs contigo, con madre. One of the best songs I recorded también con mi hija Alma. Me despertó la realidad. Esta, we recorded it in the same mic. She looking at me and I'm looking at her. In 2 takes. And then Junior said, "I don't believe this."
yeah, that doesn't happen. Yeah.
Yeah. It's on the CD de Toro Prieto.
Okay. That one, yeah.
Me despertó la realidad. Listen to that song.
Yes, sir. I will do that.
It never got played. It never got played.
Oh, because there was only like 3 singles that the label would get behind.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they'd a lot of times pick the wrong ones. And
Speaking of labels, they came, they made their money, they spent a lot of money, they left, and from my point of view, they left a bunch of artists that had no direction. I remember the days when it was 7 o'clock and they'd open the control room. "Hey, Johnny, Carmelita and the artist, or John Ortiz, or whoever." They had the artist. They went up and they made sure the artist was up, and they were at the radio station at 7 o'clock.
With tacos.
they were babysitters.
Yes, they were babysitters, but they were making sure that the money that they were banking into you or to their artist would come back, and they knew that they had to crack the whip. They leave, all of a sudden the artist says, they'll call me up. Okay, hey, can I do an interview? I said, sure. 7 o'clock.
It's too early.
Oh, it's too early. I'm like, what do you mean? You know, or they'll do the midday show. They'll do the afternoon show.
Yeah.
And so to me, you know, they came, they did good things, they got their money, they got out, they saw there was no real financial future.
No, there was a financial future. They just went after regional Mexican.
Right, because there was
There was a bigger pie.
Yeah.
And so they said, we're going to throw our resources over there, and this little genre that's just in Texas is not expanded enough, and they left.
Yeah.
They did.
But when they left, to me, it just seems, again, you know, los artistas, they were like lost. They there was no, I guess there was no carrot at the end of the stick, so they just became, you know.
Yeah, John, but you know, look, how did Grupo Frontera, right? Let's just use them as an example.
Okay.
How did they get noticed? Right? They went and listened to material on YouTube. There was a band that was from Chile or something that recorded No Se Va,
Right.
in a different style. I think it was reggaeton, or I don't know. And they did it themselves, and they got somebody to go record a little video of them in a patio singing No Se Va.
Right.
And they got discovered, and it became viral, and it became a hit. What's the moral of the story? Hustle.
Right.
You gotta hustle,
Right, but
and
that's-
what we don't have here is
hustle. Exactly.
right? To say I really want it, and they're not gonna give it to me. I'm gonna go get it, and I'm gonna go try this, and I'm gonna try that, and I'm gonna get after it.
Yeah.
And you know what? No, it's like no nos están promocionando ya. Ya no nos están tocando en la radio. Well, get your ass out
Complacency,
there
man.
and you
Yeah.
go do it yourself, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's to me. That's it. Justin Bieber was discovered online. We have so many opportunities to go out there and do stuff if you just hustle. But and I'm going to tell you, to be fair, what's happening in our industry, and it happens, and I get it, and I'm not criticizing it, right? Not at all. Is what happens in our industry is the bills got to get paid. So most of the people that work in the Tejanos music are working a different job during the week.
Right.
Okay. Right. So then you go work weekends. Now you're weekend warrioring it, okay, and that's fine, but you don't have time to really put in the A&R part
Right.
of looking for music, of trying something. You know, I was talking to Ricky today, and I told him, you know, what we miss now that we had back in the day, and Gilbert can attest to this, he probably won't like what I'm going to say, but back in the day, when he recorded Grupo Más, the guys would rent the studio for the month, and they would live here. And they would record the songs and re-record it and re-record it and re-record it because they got that as a band, they had to gel. When my dad would be recording the CDs with Los Clásicos, they was do it again and do it again and do it again. And you know what? The drum was kind of beat. Let's get a different beat. So you're gelling, man, because you had to get it. What's happened now is the stars are no longer the artist. It's the engineer. And Gilbert can attest to this because an engineer now with technology goes, don't worry about it, I can fix it. So
I would beg to differ in a big way, dude.
Let's go.
You say engineer. There was no Pro Tools and stuff back then. They had to play good.
Yeah, that's my point.
And the band, like Mas, they didn't do the song over and over. No, they never did that. They recorded it once, and they would enhance it. They would take their time about enhancing the song.
Homero Esquivel, who played with me and played with Mas, told me they recorded one song 9 times.
He's lying to you.
That's what he told me.
Call him on the phone
I
right now. He's
swear.
lying to you, man.
I swear he did.
Yeah.
You believe the sheep, they're liars.
But the point was they gelled as a band. They performed it as a band. You had to perform it. Right now, you play on a click track.
Yeah. The music is.
And they'll
today
go,
it's
okay,
more-
man, the
it's-
bass player come tomorrow.
Yeah, the music is layered. There's really
Right?
no band.
So what do you have? You have everything sounding more perfect. And I think music is beautiful when it has imperfections. When sometimes you'd hear Joe and Jimmy singing, and the segunda would be a little bit out of tune, and it sounded amazing. And I think that that magic is what we're lacking nowadays. And I'm not talking about our genre. I'm talking about all
Everything,
music.
Yeah, all music is
Yeah.
basically done
The
that way.
technology
nowadays.
though, is so far
Well,
advanced.
of course. I mean,
I remember back then, cuando grababa con los hermanos Recto, 4-track.
but you let me ask you a question. You recorded Mas.
Yeah.
How much studio time would they take?
They take forever, but you know what? The God's honest truth is, those guys would rent the studio. They did have a barbecue. We weren't even recording. They were just sitting there.
It was a party, right?
Yes, the company was paying.
But I know they would do it for like a month.
Yeah, but it was
No,
all.
it was not a month. They'd come 2 days, 1 week, 2 days, another week. It would take months to record. But they were the only band that was here a month was Intocable. They came and booked the studio for a month.
I think there's something to be learned from that. I think because they themselves, when they recorded Sonic Ranch, they go and sequester themselves, and there's no cell phones, and like it's a whole different deal because they're gelling as a band.
Well, and that's why Maz had the barbecues, because they were gelling as a band.
Of course. No. Listen. I think the more you dedicate yourself to making hits and finding hits, the better chance you have of doing so. But if you got a different gig and you're doing it's hard, man, because you have a family you got to get back to. You work 9 to 5. It's tough.
Yeah. Now, Gilbert, before the podcast even started, we play our little song there, and you want to tell Bobby who sings the radio guy?
Bobby, you don't know
I don't.
Well, that's Johnny. He's the radio guy.
You're singing that song?
Well, it was my attempt at singing, sir. I've never claimed to be a singer.
You see, the engineers are the stars.
Hey,
they can make anybody sound good.
In my case, Gilbert was the engineer, and he made me sound good because
when you say engineer, it's a producer. The engineer is the guy who's just recording
engineer slash engineer, editor or whatever.
Anybody can hit the record button. Hey, I'm an engineer. No. The guy that put it together.
But what I'm saying nowadays, there's so much magic that can be done.
Oh yeah.
That back in the day we didn't have.
Yeah.
And never mind AI. That's a whole other conversation.
Because you're playing the stuff, right? You're playing the stuff, and the tape is recording, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you can punch in. That's about it. But it's a lot harder to move and quantize and do all kinds of
and
stuff.
trust me.
Compared to what I used to record with, 4 microphones para el acordeón, en los saxofones hacia para atrás, el tamborero, un micrófono, and one minute mistake all over again. Órale.
Yeah.
No, I've always said Gilbert made me sound amazing, and it was one take. And you're not going to believe this. My allergies are bad right now, but they were really bad back then.
Well, this sounds really good.
I was
you sound like a country singer. I honestly thought it was there's a country singer from here. I actually did the project with them, the Twin Fiddles and
Rick Orozco.
Rick Orozco. I thought it was him.
Are you serious?
I swear to God, dude. It sounded. I swear. I thought it was him.
It was me. It
Dude,
was me.
that's
but
so cool.
Well, I haven't heard of it, though. I heard it a little bit, okay?
Yeah. But I mean, it happened a long time ago, and David was nice enough to ask me, and it's funny because Joey and David were here, and they went to go get some food, and Gilbert says, "Órale, let's do it right now, because if they come back, we'll spend an hour on this." And boom, they got back with the food, and I was done. I said, "Okay, guys," and David and Joey are going, "Hey,
maybe you need to record more."
No, I'm less. Okay,
He's got a good voice. It sounds good, man.
No.
Don't you think it sounds good? I think it sounds great.
Yes.
Yeah, sure it does.
I would tell you. I would tell you if it sucked. Like, if it doesn't suck, it's good.
I can't afford Gilbert's studio time, okay? All right. So, you know what? Let me take a quick pause for the pause here. Because I got to take care of some business here. This portion of the podcast is being brought to you as a service of AA Best Bail Bonds. By the way, folks, it happens to all of us. Get a call at 3 o'clock in the morning. El compadre, maybe it's your primo. Who knows? It's somebody is in jail. Do them a favor. Do everybody involved a favor. Pick up the phone and dial 210-225-2121. And if it's you, memorize the number, because trust me, when you're in the holding cell, you ain't going to have your cell phone. So don't put in the cell phone. It's 210-225-2121. Nobody beats their price. Payment plans available. A shuttle service obviously is available to you, and discretion, the name of the game. Our good friend Albert is great staff at AA Best Bail Bonds. They'll get you out. They've got plenty of offices in San Antonio. Open 24/7, and no matter whether you go to a game in Dallas, oh, never mind, they don't have one anymore. You go to a game in Houston, or maybe you're just going to El Bayuco or maybe Chucotown. It doesn't matter where you go, they'll get you out. It's 210-225-2121. Tell them you heard it right here on the Radio Guys podcast. AA Best Bail Bonds, license number 149, 210-225-2121.
So while we're on the subject, there's a little taste of the song there.
There you go.
Early in the morning when you wake up,
There you go. All right.
cruising on a Sunday afternoon, bringing you some cumbias and rancheras. I got oldies and a little country too. I'm the one that makes you feel alegre. 9 to 5 and backyard barbecues. It's almost like a part of your familia. Make you smile and drive you wild, that's what I do. They call me the radio guy.
And on and on.
And on and on, yeah. And
I'm surprised.
Song was written by Gilbert Velasquez and Billy O'Rourke of the Poteet Posse. So
Awesome.
there you go.
I like it, man.
And where did Gilbert get the idea? Apparently, a relative of his has a restaurant in West Texas, and they used to pipe, KXDN back in the day in. And every time Gilbert went to visit him, is it a cousin?
He was the cousin.
Yeah, he says,
cousin.
"Hey, how's that radio guy?"
Yeah,
hey,
he's that radio guy.
Okay, there you go.
So
That's cool, man. I like it. I like this.
That's when he came up says, "Hey, we can do a podcast." I said, "With the radio guys, we got a theme song. You already sang it, so vamos."
Awesome.
Fit right in.
It does, man.
Yeah, sure it is.
And I want to send a big hello to all the DJs that are listening, all the DJs that were part of this music and this genre,
Yeah.
and that are still there, dude, still promoting. All the guys that have been, even though like Rock and Roll James, he's now doing rock, but he promotes this music like nobody's business, right? Boca Corona, so many people, Mando San Román,
TVT, Mando San Román,
man, it's just so many great people that have graced this.
And paz descanse AC Cruz.
AC Cruz, my boy, man, and JD.
Yeah,
Bolio.
Bolio,
I mean, JD was the go-between for us to do that Texan deal.
Yeah.
And man, that guy fights for us, man. He really does.
By the way, kudos to the Texans organization. They've embraced la comunidad hispana a lot more. And this is no disrespect to anybody, but the Cowboys have been around for a long time.
Yeah.
Houston, Texas, basically a startup,
Dude.
But they have embraced the Hispanic community so much more than the Dallas Cowboys, which kind of blows me away because I would expect more from the Cowboys, being as they are.
Well, to be fair, right? To be fair, there's a lot of Mexican Americans in Houston.
Yes.
A lot more than in Dallas.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And so, I'm not going to be judgmental towards the Cowboys, but I think the Texans recognize that.
Yeah.
And man, with all due respect, that's a ballsy move.
It's a great marketing
for
move.
them to
Think
say,
about it.
we're going to get a Spanish, Tejano singer to come over here and do the halftime.
Yeah.
That's awesome, bro.
And to the folks that are saying, well, how come we didn't see it on TV? Look, real simple. This is the way it works. The halftime show of the Super Bowl is being brought to you as a service of Pepsi, right?
That's correct.
So Pepsi forks out millions of dollars. So when they're, and
Well,
not
in our
only-
case, it was Bud Light.
You're right.
And another. It was Bud Light and another sponsor.
But the network and
that's
they
different.
didn't get any of that money.
No, because people were comparing it because Beyonce got paid like $20 million and did the halftime show, but Netflix paid that.
Right.
I talked to the people from the Texans. I'm like, did you meet Beyonce? They're like, they took over. Like they didn't even get to meet her or nothing,
No.
right? Because Netflix brought in all their people for the halftime show.
Right.
So it's a different animal, right?
Yeah.
And I get it. I wasn't upset about it. I know most people didn't understand that. Yeah.
Well, and when they fork out that kind of money, Netflix or Pepsi or whoever's paying for that, they want to get a return on their investment.
Of
So they
course.
want the world to see
Of
what they
course.
paid for.
Of course.
Hence Beyonce, and whoever is at the halftime for the Super Bowl. All these people, they have the big time sponsors. So
but
they're
we
forking-
brought them the luck. Beyonce didn't.
That's
You
it.
know that
That's
this is
how-
true. This is true because they were man. In first half, I was like,
dude,
oh my god,
bro.
Yeah.
I was like, híjole. I kept telling the band. I go, damn, people are gonna be pissed, bro. They're gonna be pissed. We're like bad. We're bad. No, everything was bad. And I said, if we can score right before the half, I think people will be like excited because it was 6-0.
Right.
And then they snapped the ball over C.J. Stroud's head. He throws it to Hutchinson, 50 yards, right? Rolls out, goes against the ball. And by that time, they started taking us out to the field. And we're like looking, and they start marching and touchdown. I was like, and we were so juiced, man.
But Houston has always kind of been like that. I remember back in the early 90s, they had Go Tejano Day at their Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. In fact, I think
he was the first.
One of the first performers. Him, Emilio, and Vicky Carr.
That's right. I was there.
You were there.
I was there.
Yo también. I remember it was just that was a special.
That if there's a bucket list, if there's a bucket list thing that I want to do before I'm gone, and I probably not gonna do,
rodeo
is the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo.
Yeah.
Especially because our genre has been kind of excluded for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I think Jesse Turner told me they did it in 18. I think they did it with another act. I think Signal played there. He told me. But we've kind of been excluded for a long time.
For a long time,
and it would be kind of cool to do that again.
Well, the same thing happened in San Antonio. They have all the Tejano acts out in the tents. They don't have anybody in the main arena. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah, it's Look, it's always been about money, and it's always going to be about money. It's about mainstream America, whatever that means.
You say it's about money. I don't think so.
Well, I mean,
because generally speaking, anybody that they put at the rodeo sells it out. It's always packed. Doesn't matter who's there.
Right.
That's a fact.
Right. It's a fact. But I mean, you have the actual ticket holders having to sell their tickets.
Correct.
And so when I say it's about the money, it's about the big money. I mean,
I think they want the big names, the ones making the most noise.
Right.
And so, but that's definitely something that I would love to do before I'm done.
Okay, so you mentioned bucket list earlier, and you just dropped one little gem here on us. What's the other one?
I don't have another one.
No?
No. I'm happy with what I've done. I don't feel like there's a lot of other stuff left to do.
Okay.
To be honest with you.
Have you played Pebble Beach?
I have.
Okay.
Dude, I bought 2 raffle tickets, and I hit it, dude. We won the raffle to go play a tournament in Pebble Beach, and I invited my wife, and so my wife's not that good a golfer, but we had fun,
right?
And we went out there, and it was a great experience, man.
So your wife is kind of like playing with Mico.
Yes.
Hey.
But you look good.
Mico's shorts are like, my wife's shorts are like yours. So you guys would be matching.
We have fashion. Okay. All right.
He did not want to invite me because he's scared I'll hit him.
Yeah. My dad would kill somebody there.
He makes me look good. Gracias, Primo. Gracias.
Yeah, people sue today now real quick, okay? So you hit somebody with a golf ball, they're suing you, man. So that's it.
No, not really, man. Like, I mean, I can't really tell you that I'm good, man. And I say that not in a cocky way. I'm very content with what I've accomplished and where I've come from to what I've been, and I think that's why I'm able to say I want to try something else, because I don't feel like there's a lot of stuff left for me to try to prove or. I've been very blessed. I'm thankful to God.
Yeah.
God's been on. Dude, let me tell you, there's so much divine intervention that's happened in my life and my career that it would be impossible to say God didn't help me because He did, and I think He's going to always be in my corner, even if I don't win. Right? Even if I don't win, I still feel like He's in my corner and that He's got a plan.
How about you, Roberto? Te despides, pero contento con todo lo que ha pasado en tu carrera.
Fíjate, ha sido una bendición, hermano, ¿ok? Para mí, yo nunca esperaba hacer lo que empecé a hacer, okay? Because I was supposed to be a band director, But it was a blessing when I traded a job as a band director to teach elementary, because they would not let me perform on the side. But that's when they introduced the bilingual program. And I changed everything around. The next thing you know, I was lecturing teachers in Montana, California, aquí, because of what I did. I changed everything around. This, and I reflect back on my life, and I'm going to repeat it again. I've been blessed, hermano. Gracias a mi Dios, y gracias a la gracia que me dio mis padres, y luego también al mismo tiempo con la familia que he tenido, hermano. Chihuahuas, bendito Dios.
Yes. Yeah. Greatly
I
said.
mean, I feel the same
said.
way with my kids, man.
Yeah.
I'm very blessed. I got great kids. No por nada, right? Everybody that tells me that meets them and they're so respectful. They're so, I gotta give credit to my ex-wife, also raising my 3 older boys. Mama's important, man.
Yeah.
Mama's important, and my wife right now with Rodrigo, my little one, and Mama's important. Daddy's important too, and we make it work as parents, and always have, and I think the family's important, always has been.
I've seen, a lot of friends and you and a lot of other people that I know that the housewife stayed at home and she looked after the kids and she made sure that they got the proper schooling, they came home from school, they had something to snack. And to me, and this is no disrespect to anybody because I understand that nowadays most of us have to have a 2-family income.
That's right.
So it's tough.
It's tough.
But to make my point is that I've watched, and the families where the mom stayed at home,
yes,
their kids are all those things you mentioned, much more respectful. They achieve more in school.
Yeah.
They actually go to college. And again, I'm not trying to disrespect anybody because there's a lot of 2-income families where the kids
it's tough,
are
man.
upon them. They took it upon themselves to go to school to get a college education. However, I think that nowadays, I think that's what's missing in a lot of homes.
It's hard, man, because nowadays the phone,
yeah,
is raising your kids, right? And
used to be the TV.
It used to be the TV, and there's a lot of things on there, right? But you're right, man. It's I don't judge because, we had that situation with me and my wife, right, where I say, hey, she's always been very independent, wanting to make her own money, and we had that dilemma, right, where we're like, well, we have a son. It's like, do you want somebody else raising him?
Yeah.
And she's like, no. I said, look, I can afford that you can stay home and raise him, and that's what she does. I don't have a nanny, right? She does everything, right? She's the one.
Good cook.
Yeah, my wife can cook, man. Oh, man. I told her I would have married you even if you couldn't cook, but that's a big plus, man. Like,
bonus.
Oh my God, she can cook. But nonetheless, you know what? You're right. That's why I'm always been for childcare. By the way, we got to help people out there, man. People are not making it. The government helps people that are really, really impoverished with childcare. But there's a lot of people out there that are working hard, right? And they're above the line. But childcare's $1,000, dude. It's expensive, man. For somebody to and the government should help because I believe that if you do, it's going to pay dividends down the road. And I think it's important.
I'm just waiting for you to become a politician because I've got child care. I've got health system. I've got pharmaceuticals. There's all these problems that this country is faced with.
It is.
Right now, the biggest business, money-making business, is the health care and the pharmaceuticals.
It is.
I was like, wait a minute.
It's out of control.
Yeah.
That's a big deal for me. It's one of my biggest gripes of everything. Because people, you'd be surprised. We talk about like how, and it goes hand in hand with childcare, John, because you see hand in hand. It goes hand in hand with a lot of families, both of them are working jobs, and a lot of times one of the ones is working the job just to have health insurance. They don't make that much money. It's just to have health insurance, and we're feeding that monster. I say I don't, because I don't have it. And because I have a very bad philosophical dislike for them and how they operate. I have used my health care in Mexico. and it's very nice. It's affordable, and we should be ashamed of ourselves that if a country that is not the first world country like we are here can provide something like that at an affordable price, why can't we do that here? Because everybody that's living here, you know, they kind of keep our heads just above, just the nostrils just above the water to keep us alive, to feed the monsters. And I don't think we're living, man. And that's not a way of life for most people.
And a lot of other countries, you know, they believe the same thing, and their people seem to be living. You know,
yeah, man. We're products here.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
and it's something that has to change. Something's got to give.
What we do,
it's a ticking time bomb. But I thank you. I don't mean to get political. I appreciate you guys for having us.
Yeah,
No, it was-
I got one question. I got one question.
Yeah.
All right, 1979, you have an album called Primo. So is that where you get Primo from, or where does Primo come from?
Well,
just so the new generation who is just meeting you, they'll know.
En el barrio where I was rose up, I'm the original Bobby. Cuando nació él, el Bobby y Primo. And way back in 1954, I remember cuando los braceros, north of Edinburgh, ahí estaban todas las carpas, and I used to go with my dad.
Yeah.
Back in 1954. Y papá, hey, primo. Oye, Dad, ¿tienes chivos de primos? Dijo, no, son. Yo los hago address como primo porque es suficiente. Ha sufrido nuestra raza que tenemos que cuidarnos unos con otros. I want them to feel like family. What a thing que cambia la cosa. Oye, wow, my grandkids, hey, grandpa, I have a lot of cousins.
Yeah, it's funny, like in Sinaloa, they call everybody pariente.
Yeah.
Oye pariente, which is like relative.
Right,
Right?
So,
And it's very similar to what the Primo
yeah.
thing is here. So, yeah.
I want to thank you guys very much for having invited.
Oh man, it was fun. It was interesting.
You see, this is way better than an interview over on the radio.
Yeah, a lot better. Way
better. Man.
Okay.
Yeah.
One thing that your fans do not know about Roberto Pulido.
What? One thing they don't know about me?
Yeah. Give me one thing that your fans do not know about you. Besides the fact that there's not coffee in that cup.
No. No, the only yo a todo el mundo le platico todo.
There's got to be something that your fans do not know about you.
Bobby, can you think of something?
No, Dad. I mean, I don't know. Like, I even. No. I mean, for you. I mean, for me, I don't.
Well, that I know about something that no saben de mí.
Right.
Well, puedo decir que I'm an ugly golf player.
No, we know that. You already made it pretty evident.
Well, I don't know if they know that I threw the first pitch of an Astro New York Mets game way back in 1990.
In the Astros, what?
In the Astrodome, yeah.
Really?
New York
Yeah,
Yankees.
my dad took me to the Astrodome in 1964 when I got back from California. you know.
Right.
I always wanted to be a baseball player. Wow! The Astrodome was known as the eighth wonder of the world.
Right.
And then in 1990, I got invited to throw the first pitch of an Astrodome, and I threw a strike as my dad was there.
Neta.
Really?
Neta.
Okay.
I always wanted my dad to feel proud of me. Igual como él, he wants me to be feel proud of him. I don't know. When I lost my dad, I lost my best friend.
Yeah.
Mi compañero, he jugó me one time nomás. Y me iba a dar una fajiza porque le eché mentiras. He started taking off his belt. Dijo, mira, no te voy a fajear, cabrón. Pero que nunca se te olvide que yo soy tu mejor amigo. El día que tú metas en problemas, yo soy el que te voy a sacar, no tus amigos. Así es que a mí nunca me están echando mentiras. And that's what it was.
That's another thing we never knew about Pulido, right, Roberto? How about you, Bob? One thing your fans
That's
never
a hard
don't know
question.
about you, man.
I'll tell you. I have one tattoo,
Okay.
right? It was on an album cover, so it's not a
Sniper.
secret.
I don't have one.
It is the crosshairs of a scope, right? And I've had it for years. The label, I've always been fascinated with long range shooting. I love it. It's my passion. And years ago, when I opened a record label, and we signed Frijoles Románticos and Bad Boys del Valle, and there's another guy, Tony Tigre signs, that I gave him his name, Tony Tigre. I started a youth football team because my ex-wife had, against my advice and counsel, had gone and taken my kids to put them in football. And I'm extremely competitive, and I remember they played, and they would just run out there, and they really wouldn't tackle good, and it was crazy. And I would get so frustrated, and we played a San Antonio team in youth football. That time it was Pop Warner. It was I think Holy Cross or one of those, and they just murdered us, right? And I was so angry because our kids were scared. They were scared. So I said, you know what? You're not going to play in that organization anymore. We're going to get in another organization called American Youth Football, and we're going to make our own team. And it's not going to be an NFL team like the Chargers or the Texans or whatever. I'm going to call them the Snipers. It was 10 and 11-year-olds. And I put together a team of a bunch of Hispanic kids with the goal of winning a national championship in American youth football. And I started talking to people. Yeah, man, my boy, he'll play. And hey, my brother, just like that, right? We got a team together. And our team was amazing. And we beat the crap out of a bunch of teams down here. Mm-hmm. We played in Houston. We played in the semifinals to go play in Orlando for the national championships. We played a team from DeSoto. And I'll never forget, right, because when you're from the Rio Grande Valley, you don't see a lot of black kids.
Right.
We have a lot of Hispanics. Right. So all of our kids were Mexican, man. We hit hard and we were fast, right? And we really worked our kids good, man. We taught them. And we went out there, and I'll never forget, we lined up against the other team, and they were all black and we were all Mexican. And I'll never forget, they small. One of the kids looks at somebody and goes, they small. Well, we beat them 37-12 or something like that. Our kids were our kids were vicious, bro. So we went to Orlando, and we played against a team from Chicago, which they have a guy now that's in the NFL. His name is Julian Love. He plays for the Giants as a defensive back. He was a running back. Mm-hmm. And we beat them, right? They gave us a game in the first half, but in the second half we tore it up, and we played against the team from Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, in the final. Again, an all-black team. And
you beat them?
We beat them 6-0. And we had 2 goal line stands and defense, and we stopped them. And we beat them 6-0, and we won the national championship in American youth football. And I was the general manager and part of the coach. And I'm very competitive, and we were able to accomplish something that everybody thought were crazy. Mm-hmm. Because you go, that's not a Mexican sport, that's soccer, right? Or baseball or whatever. But we actually did that together, and it was a wonderful experience.
So GM and coach.
Yeah.
Mike McCarthy's out.
Yeah. Dallas Cowboys is
no thanks.
They just got a coach from Japan. Se llama Win
Win.
Yeah. Yeah.
Listen, guys, it's been a whole lot of fun.
Thank you.
Del fondo del corazón les agradezco que hayan venido, desde el mágico valle. Well, Roberto, you came from Houston, but still, you've had a busy weekend, so I appreciate you guys, your time. And most of all, just appreciate the conversation, man. It was a good conversation.
I'm glad you liked it. And thank you, Gilbert.
Yeah.
For providing your insight.
Thank you for having me.
Wait a minute, Gilbert.
Yes, yeah.
You've got a story.
Uh-oh.
Tell us a story about Roberto and Bobby.
Uh-oh.
Gosh. Roberto and Bobby. Yeah, you got me. I'm drawing a blank here.
You were with the Breed, and you went to the Valley. And
no, this wasn't this. I was playing with this band called the Royal Jesters.
The Jesters. Okay, my bad.
So this was 1974, 75, somewhere in that time frame there.
I was born in 73 for context.
Right. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
That's the context.
Yeah. So we usually, you guys know, after the gig, there's the carreritas, and Roberto invited us to his house to have breakfast before we came back home. So we went, and Bobby was there. He was,
In diapers.
Yes. And I remember carrying him. He was a baby, man. I don't think I can carry you now. No. But I remember back then.
You a little dude.
But yes, that's where I met Bobby. I mean, you probably don't remember that, Bobby.
I do not. I was in diapers, dude.
Yeah.
I was 1 or 2 years old.
Yeah.
Eso fue lo que le dije yo a Chete Barrera. I remember carrying you as when you were 1 year old.
Yeah, you couldn't do that anymore.
No. And more than that, thank you for being here, pero también thanks for the many years of friendship and getting to know you and just
listen, man. Blessed. That's more important than anything, to be honest with you, is the friendships.
Yeah.
All the accolades and all that, that's all good, but when it's all down, it's all about heart, man, and about talking to people and shooting shit and just being real people.
Man,
absolutely.
Every time I hear a Pulido song, it just flashes me back to 1972, right there on Cedar and 22nd Street. Ahí el camarada, Norberto, George, and myself. It was a 1969 GTO. We'd slap that 8-track in there and just, sit there and listen to Pulido y sus clásicos.
Oh, boy.
Man, it was some good times, man.
Yeah.
Some of the best.
Good times.
Some of the best. So thank you for everything, man.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Congratulations on that, on all your achievements, man. And
Appreciate
we wish
that.
you the best of luck in the future. Y vamos a la pesca.
Primeramente Dios.
And come back and see us when you're a politician.
Sure, man.
I'll have a couple of bones to pick with you, okay?
I can talk to anybody, brother. I don't care. I'm not afraid. And I believe that we can, even if we do disagree, we can be civil. And you can, know where I'm coming from. I know where you're coming from, and we can find common ground.
I know a lot of people think I'm a Republican, but I vote for the person. I never look at blue or
That's
red.
what my dad used to say.
And I just look at the person and I feel him out and I see his track record.
I think a lot of people look at me and probably think I'm very conservative.
Yeah, they probably do.
Yeah. But and I probably am in many ways.
Yeah, especially when it comes to partying.
Right. Well, when they ask me what party, I just say, hey, the Saturday night party. Vámonos.
Yeah.
I'm ready for that, baby. That's it.
All right. Once again,
Gracias.
our thanks to the Pulidos. We appreciate it. Podcast being brought to you again as a service of AA Best Bail Bonds 210-225-2121. My grandmother in paz descanse used to say, mijo, después de la medianoche no pasa nada bueno. And she was right. And, before you know it, I know it's a brand new year, but we bring some of the old problems into a brand new year, and one of those problems could be a warrant. You get arrested. Do yourself a favor. Do your family a favor, most importantly, and dial 210-225-2121. Our good friend Albert, his great staff at AA Best Bail Bonds, they will definitely get you out. No need to call an attorney, and whatever you do, do not sign one of those, bonds that they present to you at the jail. No. Just pick up the phone and dial 210-225-2121. Lowest price, payment plans available, and they would definitely get you out. License number 149, 210-225-2121. Tell them you heard it right here on the Radio Guys podcast, and they would definitely get you out. Once again, our sincere thanks to Roberto and Bobby.
Absolutely. And also to our Grammy Award-winning executive producer here, Mr. Gilbert Velasquez.
Hey, there you go. You got his name right.
I got it. No, I did. I just had a brain fart, man.
Yeah.
Y también, with all the bells and whistles, is our technical director, video technical director, Albert, who makes us look flaco and guapo, but he can't do miracles, okay? Y también the social butterfly, Letty. I should know this girl.
Lexi
Rodriguez.
Lexi Rodriguez.
I should know her.
Yeah,
So-
I know her name better than you do. And, I never thought that 2 hours would,
I know.
que se pasaban como de volada, pero se pasaron de volada. And una vez más, Roberto, sinceramente, a través de todos los años que nos has traído tu buena música, I appreciate you. It's always good to know that, not only are you one hell of a musician, but you're a great friend. And Bobby, as they say, the fruit don't fall far from the tree, brother.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it, man. Thank you, Mico.
You bet.
Appreciate it, man.
You bet. Thank you.
Radio Guys Podcast. See ya. Wouldn't want to be you.
Just like me, it's all a part of Texas. Coming through the airwaves loud and clear. Like the feel of my Harley on the highway. It's what I live for. It's why I'm here. They call me the radio guy. I play Tejano music, it's my high. Plus I'll be punching buttons till I die. They call me the radio guy. And I'll be spinning records till I die. They call me the radio guy. No, que no tronabas pistolita, el Jonny with David Lee.
The Radio Guys podcast was powered by AA Best Bail Bonds at 210-225-2121. Stress-free bail bonds 24/7, 365 anywhere in San Antonio. 210-225-2121.